Hello everyone, thank you for joining me at Working Shopper. Sorry I've been gone for a while. I've been involved in a civil case, and so I've been studying workings of the court system. I have no idea what this vine is, but this morning a flower came in, but it's closing now. So that was really quick. Yay, it's getting bigger. Oh my goodness. It's looking nice. So we have leftovers, chips, salsa, some corn pie, extra salsa, beans with cojita cheese, Spanish rice, soft tortilla, springtime is coming. Happy New Year. Valentine's Day is right around the corner. I wanted to make some cheesecake, so I went to the grocery store to get some eggs. Well, in case you haven't noticed, eggs are now sky high. So yeah, we're not going to use eggs. Instead of eggs, I used flax meal as my binding ingredient. The ingredients I used was a pound of cream cheese, about 5 ounces of yogurt, 3 tablespoons of coconut flour, 1/4 cup of sugar, 3 teaspoons of vanilla, a tablespoon of lemon juice, and for the crust I used some almond cookies that I already had. So this is the next day. The cheesecake in the bowls held up pretty well. They only sank a little bit. It's not as smooth as a regular cheesecake. You can see here it's quite crumbly. I think that has to do with using the flax meal, but also it might have to do with having baked it an hour. If I had baked it for less time, the top of the cheesecake would not be as dark, and maybe some of the water would have retained inside and made it a little more moist. However, I do like dry cheesecake, so for me it was good. In fact, one of my favorite styles of cheesecake is New York cheesecake, when it's not as creamy as, like, say, California cheesecake. I like both styles, but New York is one of my favorite cheesecakes because of the dryness. So I'm pointing to the website I'm looking at, Cornell Law. I've been looking up rules of court and definitions. If you ever are served a summons for a civil case, make sure you do your research, because who knows, you might have, even if you have legal representation, you know, it might be a fuck all lawyer who is, like, you know, just doing their pro bono work, you know, so they can quickly move on up to the east side, you know. So make sure you study law. You don't have to study anything outside the scope of your case, but, you know, anything extra that you bring definitely is going to be to your benefit. Anyway, if you stick around a little bit longer, I will read you some definitions off of the website. One good thing for you to do is to go to your own state court laws. However, there are some uniform laws that most states follow. So I'm online at Cornell Law School. Going to the link, Get the Law. They have Constitution law, Supreme Court law, U.S. Code, Code of Federal Regulations, Federal Rules, UCC, which is Uniform Commercial Code, and then law by jurisdiction, which has state law, uniform laws, federal law, and world law. So let's go to state law, because depending on where you're summoned, you want to know those state laws. Okay, for just 1 second, I want to check out the uniform law locators. It says for evidence. Let's see if there's any link to that. I'm really interested in Article 3 called presumptions. Now, you know, when you hear the term assume, whenever you assume something, you make an ass out of you and me. But let's see what it says for a presumption. So Rule 301, presumptions in civil cases generally. So presumptions governed by this rule are given the effect of placing upon the opposing party the burden of establishing the non-existence of the presumed fact, once the party invoking the presumption establishes the basic facts giving rise to it. So if someone presumes something about you and you remain silent, then that presumption stands as evidence, and the onus is on you to prove that presumption wrong. Let's go down here where it says Article 7, Opinions and Expert Testimony. Okay, so here we have, let's start up here. If a witness is not testifying as an expert, testimony in the form of an opinion is limited to one that is A, rationally based on the witness's perception. B, helpful to clearly understanding the witness's testimony or to determine a fact and issue. And C, not based on scientific, technical, or other specialized knowledge within the scope of Rule 702. So we have to read Rule 702 to know what that scope is. But it says here, based on the witness's perception. So here we have another word, perception, perceived, just like presume. So it's really important that you understand how the evidence can be held against you. And it's important that you know what the rules of evidence are so that you can object to anything and put forward your own evidence that makes their evidence inadmissible. Article 9, here we have authentication and identification. Okay, Rule 901, authenticating or identifying evidence. I find number 5 interesting. Opinion about a voice. An opinion identifying a person's voice, whether heard firsthand or through mechanical or electronic transmission or recording, based on hearing the voice at any time under circumstances that connect it with the alleged speaker. They don't have to hear your voice firsthand. What if the person accused has an accent? Do you think an American is going to be able to distinguish two different people if their accent sounds the same, in the same tone, in same mannerism? Or let's say they're Indian. How many times have you called tech support or some kind of support and you reach an Indian? Can you distinguish one Indian's voice from the next Indian's voice? Okay, here, rule number 902, evidence that is self-authenticating. Okay, certified. Okay, so things that are self-authenticating usually have to have some kind of seal or be certified. Most likely it has to be the original. So if someone tries to turn in evidence that is a copy of something, number one, the copy could be a forgery. It could be counterfeit as well. So, like when you go to the store, you can't hand them a copy of a $20 bill. Whenever you sign up for anything, people always ask you for your identification. You cannot hand them a copy of an identification. In fact, you can hand them a real identification, but if it's expired, they will not take it.